Don't like seeing my face on screen. Alrighty. It's been a minute since I streamed. And during the time that I last streamed, I traveled to Lisbon and back, and then I got sick. So I missed last week's stream as well. I apologize. My voice was shot. And apparently I've forgotten to turn my little sign around, so I'm going to have to go do that now. Anywho, so this is going to be possibly a long stream. Hey, Carolina, how are you? This is going to possibly be a long stream because there's a couple of things that I want to get through today. First of all, you may notice, I don't know if you will, that I have a slightly better camera now. I recently upgraded my camera to a, what I understand to be 4K webcam. So hopefully the picture quality is a little bit better. You can see me a little bit better on the little tiny version of me on the corner of the screen. I also have a teleprompter now, and I have the chat in the teleprompter, so I can look at the screen and talk to the chat instead of having to look at the chat window on the side here. So hopefully I'll be doing less looking sideways and more looking up as I read your chat comments. I'm still figuring it all out. I am by no means a qualified streamer. I just like sharing my stuff. Yes, they were quite expensive. They weren't quite as expensive as some of the other options out there. I am very fortunate that I was able to expense this through my company. They allow me to buy hardware that I need for different things. And because I'm creating not only streams, but I'm also creating lessons and I'm creating videos, I need to have good quality hardware. So I've was given the approval to buy a decent camera and a teleprompter. So just one of the benefits of working at Automatic is you get to buy cool stuff. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to cover today. The first is that the feature API, Carolina says, I just wish mine would pay for Claude Code. Send me your team lead or your manager's email address, and I will try and convince them, because if they can give you Claude Code, I'm going to be using Claude Code today, so maybe you can share this video with them and show them how cool it is. So maybe this is the perfect time. But yes, I would recommend that if you're developing, you use some kind of AI tool. Okay, so the feature API had a nice big release recently. And no, you can never be replaced, Carolina. You'll just have to start streaming with me. So the feature API had I wouldn't call it a big update, but in my books it's a big update. And basically Peter Fabian, who you might know from the WooCommerce world, he was one of the developers on WooCommerce a while back. That's when I met him, when he was a WooCommerce developer working with the WooCommerce team. Excuse me. Oh, I just swallowed wrong. Oh, that's annoying. Live. Jonathan jokes to death. Man, that was annoying. I'm gonna have to take a sip of coffee. You know when you're talking and you breathe in and you get a little bit of saliva down your throat? That's what just happened to me. I'm gonna turn my mic off while I blow my nose, because it's gonna be loud. Doesn't get much rawer than that, folks. Okay, as I was saying, Peter has been working with the feature API, I think, on some WooCommerce stuff, I think. And he realized that the timing of when features, excuse me, are initialized or when they work is causing some issues. And it was a similar issue to the one that I was experiencing the last time when I was trying to work with all of this. And I mentioned this to Carolina on Twitter. And so he submitted this pull request, and you're welcome. I'm gonna paste it into the chat if anybody wants to read through it. But he talks about the timing and actions and all kinds of other things. And I tested it against my plugin that I was working on and confirmed that it fixes my plugin. Greg, who's also been doing some work on this project, has also got some additional things that he's chatting about here. So there might be some changes to this plugin in the future, but I feel like it's a good move towards understanding the timing of things and making sure things happen when they should. So the first thing I want to very quickly do today is just verify that this fixes my little site thing that I was working on, my little course publishing workflow. So I think I have the latest version. No, I was busy testing this PR, so that's not the latest version. So let's check out the trunk. I'm using PhpStorm today. If you can't read the text, let me know, and I'll increase it. But let's get the latest version of this. Okay, and then let's I think it's just no, it's the feature API, so it's I can never remember. It's npm run setup, I think. Yeah, npm run setup. npm run setup. That'll install all the packages needed, or it should do. And then I think it's npm run build. Yeah. Okay. npm run build. See AJ and Kev here. Welcome everybody. I need to get one of those cool things that Ryan has, where it like pops up when people enter the chat. I need to. Ryan's been telling me all about his automations. I need to implement that, so I know when people sneak in. Okay, so that's the feature API all sorted out. I don't think the MCP plugin has had many updates of late, but let's just check. Trunk. Okay, so there have been some changes there. Oh yes, that was the other thing. The MCP plugin now supports JSON Web Tokens, which is pretty cool. And I'll show you why that's pretty cool in a second. Hey Kev. I like that. Lurking while working. So this is just npm run build. Oh yeah, so that's working. So let me open up Studio. And I think that was the site that I need. Yes, that was my site. So let's just have a look here. Plugins. Okay, so version 17 of the feature API, version 2.3 of that. All right. So in the hey Roloff, no worries. We've actually haven't even dived into your things yet. I'm just looking at something else at the moment. So you're welcome to hang out for a bit before we do that. Okay, so as I was saying, the MCP plugin now supports authentication, JSON authentication tokens. And what's cool about this is it actually have a token duration. So you can specify it's for 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever. or a custom duration, so that's kind of cool. It also makes the authentication process easier. You don't need the admin or any WordPress username anymore. You just use the token. So kind of a cool little addition. The other thing that has been added, sorry, I'm just going to turn the music down a little bit because it's... Actually, I'm going to skip a song because that song's annoying me. So let's make this... Let's make it for the next 24 hours. It doesn't matter. It's a local site, so it doesn't bother me. Let's generate a new token, and I'm going to make sure I copy this out. If the audio is too loud or you can't hear the background music or it's too loud, let me know. I'd like to have a little bit of music in the background, but not too loud. Oh yes, the other thing I was going to mention, the MCP plugin now includes documentation in the settings, which is kind of cool. It means you don't have to go off to the GitHub repo and learn how to use it if you want to get everything set up. So let me hop on over to Cursor, which is where I was building out the course content stuff. This is another project I was working on, just a little ball splitter app that I was playing with the other day. So let's open. It is the developer learning pathway. So the MCP server stuff is slightly different now. I actually have this in simple note, so I'm going to pop that in there. So you'll see I don't need the username and password anymore. I just need the JSON web token, and it authenticates based on that. And then there's a delayed duration, which is kind of cool. Otherwise, the rest stays pretty much the same. So now let's check my tools and integration. No, it wasn't there. Where was it? I think cursor's been updated as well. So let's go to cursor settings. No, I'm not going to find it, am I? Trying to remember where all of this was. MCP. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's an error with the JSON syntax. Okay, let's fix that. Did I go wrong somewhere? Oh, I think I'm missing a closing brace. There we go. Okay, that works. So there's my MCP server. Let's enable that. And now, 0 tools enabled. Okay, fun. Let's see what tools are enabled. Maybe I don't have any tools enabled. Create tools have enabled. Why is it not picking up my tools? That's annoying. Okay. And if I've done something wrong. Oh, maybe. Let's check the URL's right. Okay, let's go back to documentation. Let's Claude desktop cursor. Here we go. Yeah, that should all be right. MCP servers, represent command, args, blah blah blah. One thing I do know. So I was having trouble with Node versions a while back, but I'm using the latest version, so that's fine. Let's check out Claude. Let's see what Claude desktop says to me. This might be a cursor related issue, because I think I have my Claude desktop configured to connect to this MCP server. It seems to be freaking out quite badly. What is going on today? Okay, let's go. What is happening? Okay, let's go and have a look. Yeah, I'm gonna open this with this code. Oh, I need the new web token. I wonder if that's. I think that might be the problem. I don't think I have the new web token. I think that might be the problem. Okay, so let's revoke that. And let's make a new token for 24 hours. Generate new token. That might be the problem. don't think I use, yeah, I didn't use a new token here. That's why. I'm going to just leave that there so I don't do this again. Okay. Let's go back to cursor. Let's get rid of this guy. Okay. It's interesting that it connects but doesn't get the tools because it can't authenticate. Interesting. There we go. 32 tools enabled. Okay. Let's sort out Claude quickly. What desktop I mean. Gonna have to update that anyway, so that's fine. I just heard my phone buzz, so I want to check what that is quickly in case it's important. No, it's not. Okay. So I can close Claude down now because I'm a schmuck. All right, so we've got 32 tools enabled. And more importantly, if we have a look at the tools, you will remember that what I had done originally in previous live streams was I created this Learn Sensei content plugin. And essentially all that does is it registers, it hooks up the feature API code. It registers the feature. It's called WP Learn Sensei Content Create Course. It then can receive an object with course title and structure, which is an object of its own. And then it takes that information and it creates the course in Sensei in the WordPress site. So the problem that I was having was that the feature wasn't being adapted into an MCP tool. But if you have a look, if I show you now, if I show you the list of tools, you will see that there it is. WP feature creates a course, has been adapted into an MCP tool, which means that if I show my list of tools over here, I should see, there we go, WP feature creates a course. So now with that PR merge, that bug is now fixed, and one should be able to register features, enable the MCP plugin, enable the MCP adapter, and then those features should just become MCP tools. And now in Cursor, I should be able to create my course based on what I have. So in the lesson creation rules, I have specified a few things. I haven't even tested this in a while. I'm not going to dive into this today. I just want to see if it creates the course for me. So I'm trying to remember. I think I might have saved. I think, yeah, here post types. So I think I should be able to. Let's just update this. Let's go 6, 6, 7, and 8. Let's go and check out if I have any courses currently. No, let's just delete these. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. I want to get onto the block that I want to work on today. So let's just empty the bin. Okay, so I think in my cursor rules I've specified lessons, matching, updating from a markdown file when adding or updating WordPress lesson. If there are images present, Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm sort of remembering what I did like 4 weeks ago. I hadn't gotten to the point of actually using the content yet. I was just wanting to create the structure. So that was the first step. So it was create course was the first step to create the structure. So all I want to be able to do is using the folders, create the course structure. Here's the course. Here's the course in JSON. So this is kind of the I'm trying to remember what I was doing. Okay, so let's start with just creating the course. So let's say I'm going to close this and this. Those are my cursor rules. Okay. So, so essentially it should be working now, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, based on the modules, let's do it this way. Create a course in my WordPress site using the module directories and lesson files as the tool, as the, wait, why is it's not showing on screen? There we go. Using the directories, directory titles as the module names, and the lesson file name, as the lesson title. Let's say module title. Create a course in my WordPress site using directory titles as the module title and lesson file lesson title. This is lesson file names as the lesson titles. Create a course. Okay. Use these titles as the course structure when creating the course. Do not upload any content yet. The course title is Beginner Developer Learning Pathway. So hopefully what it's going to do is it's going to use this, determine that it needs to create the object to pass to the tool, use the right tool to create the course, and create the course in WordPress. I don't expect it to work today, but I'm interested to see how far we get, because where I remember ending off last time was I was just creating the feature and I couldn't adapt to the tool, so I couldn't start testing it yet. So I'm going to see what this does. Okay, so it's calling the feature. Okay, that's perfect. It just created the course with the title. You daft thing. Okay, it created the course. It didn't pass in anything else. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm still working on that. At least it created the course. I need to figure out how to tell it to... I think in the description, I need to tell it receives the structure or whatever the case is. So that's kind of where I was working on last time. But at least everything is sort of functional, at least. So yeah, so I'm probably going to pick this project up later. I want to take a bit of a break from it. What I'm probably going to do is work on it separately and not live stream any further, because I have something else that I want to live stream for the rest of this year. At least the second half of this year, which I'll chat about in a second. But I also want to do a shorter video now that the bugs with the MCP feature adapter are working. I want to do a shorter video on how to use all of this, and kind of a simple example. There's actually a blog post that I'm busy finishing that I'm going to be publishing on WordPress.com soon that kind of talks about how all this works together. But I also want to do a video along with it and kind of get something that's kind of more developer focused, not specific to my needs about course creation, but I kind of want to think about like a cool developer tool that a WordPress developer might use. Maybe the idea that I had about getting the debug log and using that to iterate on something like that. I don't know. But I want to put together like a shorter 5-10 minute video on setup and installation and usage and all of that stuff. So happy with that. If you want to check out the code for the Sensei thing that I was looking at, just to get an idea of how all this works, it is on my GitHub profile. It's called WP Learn Sensei Content. Essentially, it requires you to have the MCP plugin installed on a WordPress site, the Sensei plugin installed, the feature API plugin installed, and then you can create a feature and do the same thing I did today. It's like one PHP file. So if you're interested in checking out how that works, here is the link. If you're not, that's also fine. But there it is. Okay. Before we move on, very, very quickly, what I want to do in the second half of this year, what I want to be live streaming. And Carolina, you might find this interesting. You might not. I don't know. Some time ago, an amazing designer by the name of Emily, can't remember her surname, sent me a Figma that was actually in Sketch originally, but it was basically a block theme. So she designed a block theme. So it has a desktop page, it has a sample page, it has a single, an archive 404 and search. And I have been wanting to turn this into an actual block theme for the longest time. I started on it, I want to say 2 years ago now, and I did some live streams where I worked with Emily and Aruba from, I can't remember where Aruba is now, but Aruba Ahmed, she's also a developer. And I got going, and then some things changed, some things happened, and I started working on other projects, and I had to put it down. Now I want to pick it up again. But the goal is going to be, I want to try and see how much of this I can do with existing tools. So, the folks at 10up recently released a Figma to WordPress theme JSON exporter. So I want to check that out and see how that works and understand what it does. I also want to see how far I can get using AI, because I was chatting to those of you who know Tammy Lister. She is a well-known theme developer in the WordPress space. She's been contributing to themes into WordPress core for a number of years. I think she's a member of the theme team, or she was a member of the theme team. I can't remember. But she's had some good success with AI tools and creating themes. So I kind of want to see how far I can get using AI. I might have to do some tweaks myself. Thank you, Carolina. If you look at the theme design, you will see that it kind of breaks the boundaries of sort of a block theme in a lot of ways. Like Emily has these really cool like angled lines, and she has like this kind of thing happening outside of the header sort of area. So she kind of wanted to try and make it difficult, which I love. So I want to try and see how far I can get with that. So that's going to be the plan for the live streams for the near future. I'm still going to be playing with the AI stuff, but I'm going to be focusing on using it, implementing it on the theme. So that is the plan, at least. So after this stream, I am away again next week. I'm on actual vacation this time, not work-related trips. So when I come back from that, will probably be, unless something else drastic happens in the AI space, which does happen, when I come back, I will probably look at starting this build. So that's the plan for the foreseeable future. Okay. Moving along. So I don't know if Roloff is still here, but it looks like he is. He recently messaged in the WordPress outreach channel how easy or difficult would it be to turn something into a block. And I'm not going to share the link of the... Actually, I think it'll be fine if I share the original link that he shared, because he did share it in the outreach channel in the WordPress Slack. So he made this browser extension. He's busy working through a bunch of front-end mentor projects, learning how to build with HTML and JavaScript and CSS, which he's doing really well, Rudolph. So if you're around, you're doing a great job. But he asked like how difficult it would be to implement something like this as a block. And then I said to him, well, it should be pretty simple. And we chatted a bit. And I said, well, maybe what I could do is if you have something else that you've worked on and you'd like to see me how I would do that, and that might give you some tips. So I asked him for something that was a decent sort of combination of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And I want to show him and the rest of you, if you're interested, what my process would look like to turn something like this into a block. I'm not saying this is the only way. There are a number of different ways to do it. But this is my way. This is the way I would approach this. This is the way I would attack this. So we kind of looked through and he shared this tip calculator with me. And I thought the tip calculator was pretty cool because it's like 45% JavaScript, 28% HTML, and 26% CSS. So it's a good balance of the three. it's a nice little component if you think about this as a block in a WordPress site. You put in your bull, you select your tip, you choose how many people you want to share the tip with, and it works out everything for you. I don't know why it went away now. Let's just see if I did something wrong. There seems to be a bug, but that's okay. So the idea is going to be to implement this as there we go. Oh, you press reset to reset it. Okay, the minute you put it in, it calculates it. Okay, perfect. So let's say it's 6 people, and then you click on there and it works out. Okay, awesome. Do not use, yeah, I got that. Thanks, Rudolph. So the goal is going to be to implement this as a block. So I'm going to kind of talk through my process as I'm doing it, what I would do, how I would approach it. The one thing that I would note, Kev also says the button says reset. I just assume a button there is the one to calculate. It's my fault. The one thing that I would mention is I would personally, if I was taking something that was designed, I would first try and see, can I use existing elements and then style them differently. However, if I had to do it pretty quickly, then I would just build it the way I'm going to build it today. And this is actually how I built the original Seriously Simple Podcasting podcast player block. So I'm going to quickly load that on my site here and show you what I'm talking about. I might have it installed already. No, I don't seem to. So I'm going to quickly install this. Okay. So this is a plugin that I worked on a number of years ago. I was sort of the lead maintainer of the plugin for the company, and I was building out the Laravel app, and it was kind of the first block that I'd ever built. And what I essentially had was Craig had given had outsourced the creation of the player to someone, so we got the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript to manage it. And I was just looking for a quick way to implement, you know, what we had going on. So what it ended up looking like, I'm just gonna, it might have changed since then, so we'll see. I haven't worked on that project for, let's say, 5 years now. But let's just create an episode. I do have some episodes. Okay, perfect. So essentially what it did was, let me just go here. Remove that. I think it was an episode. No, it was a player. No. Yeah, castless. Oh, there's a new one. There's an old one and a new one. So probably the old one was the one. Yeah, the old one was the one that I implemented. So you basically, you can select from the drop down, and then you hit go, and then it replaces it with the thing, and then there you go. I'm interested to see what the new one looks like. It's probably way better than my original one. Okay, it's about the same interface, really. Okay, they've added some things to the player, so no big deal. So a couple of things I would do differently now if I did it. I would implement the drop-down selection in the sidebar, so that you could change the episode. A couple of things I would do differently, but I just wanted to get it done, and get it implemented and get it working. Carolina says, quick way, I've been working on the playlist block since 2023. Okay, so I'm not going to try and fix anything in Rudolph's code today. That's not the goal of today. The goal is just to talk through the way that I would implement this. As I say, to me, there's no right or wrong way. This is just one way. But I'm going to take the HTML and CSS that Rudolph has created. I'm probably going to need some of these images as well. So I'll show you how I would implement those, and just turn this into a block. And just this is kind of like a live stream, what's the word, speed run. I want to get it done as quickly as possible. So I'm not worrying about like perfect code or any of that kind of stuff. I just want to do a very quick, dirty, rough, implement as plugin, turn into plugin, done. And then I'll commit the code to GitHub somewhere. Okay, so first of all, oh yes, am I doing it in Cursor? Good question. I'm planning on using PhpStorm, and I'm planning on using Claude Code. So we'll see how far we get. I'm going to try and do as little actual coding as possible. But because I do have the original source code, it's going to make life a little bit easier. But I am planning on using PhpStorm with Claude Code in the terminal for anything that I get stuck on, in case you were wondering. All right. So let me just minimize some things here so that I can focus on what I'm doing. Let me have a sip of coffee. But essentially, Kev, I don't do much actual coding myself anymore. I let the AI tools do it for me, and then I just tweak it as I need to. Okay, so let me close down Cursor. Let me close down Visual Code Studio. All right. So first step is I'm going to... Do I need to? I don't think I need to. So there's two ways you can do this. The one way is I'm going to create a blank block using create block. I was kind of thinking about how I would do this. But the one way I could do it is I could create the blank block and then I could send Claude Code, or I could give Claude Code access to the tip calculator repository and say, implement this code as a block and see what it does. That's one way. The other way is the way that I would probably do it, which is to work sort of file by file. So I would first take the index code and I would take the relevant code from the index file and I would implement it as I need to. Then any CSS, then any JavaScript. Maybe I'll try both. Let's see. I don't know if I have enough time, but let's see if I can try both. So let's go. My first step will be to create a block plugin. And to do that, I'm going to use create block. So create block tool. So if you want to learn about this tool, you can find it there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to give it a namespace as well. So I'm going to go this one. Okay. So let's say create block latest. Let's call it tip calculator, and my namespace will be my name. Just because I wanted namespaced in my name. And that's going to download a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of stuff for me, and we'll take it from there. Roloff says you need rule of HTML and JS. Yeah, that's fine. Kev says you could use getingest.com and get all the code from GitHub in an LM friendly way. Oh, I didn't know about that. What's that? Let's have a look. Getingest. I have to say I haven't had many problems with either Claude or Cursor reading from GitHub repositories. So I'll see how it goes as is, but cool to know. Thank you. I'm gonna YOLO it today and see what happens. Okay. So rule of saying it's the rule of HTML and JS, not the index. Okay, cool. So all right. So this is creating my block plugin. Oh, good grief, it hasn't. I wish. Why does it? That's annoying. Anyway, let me move it into plugins. Should have done it inside plugins. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right, so there's my tip calculator. It's got some basic stuff, setting everything up. That's fine. It's got a source directory with my block. It has my index file and everything's there. Happy days. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to create a repository for this. always forget that part. Okay, and then I'm going to do all of this. I could get the... Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get Claude to do this for me. Oh, what did I just do? Did I break everything? Oh, I opened up something I didn't need. That's what it is. Okay, let's just clear this. Let's just let Claude do its thing. Okay, do you trust this folder? Yes, I do. Okay. Initialize. Oh wait, I need to be inside. Okay. So this is the one problem with the fact that I tend to work inside the WordPress directory, is it's going to do it inside of the root of this directory. Or is it? Might not. No, it will. Yeah, inside that. Okay. Initialize a Git repository inside the WP content plugins tip calculator directory. Add the GitHub remote. It should just handle that. I'm going to just say don't ask for Git in it. Not that that matters. Yes. No such file directory. What's wrong with you? What? Okay. I love watching an AI freak out. Not find things. Okay. Set the current branch to main. Let's see if it figures that out. Oh, wait. I need to be inside that directory. Set the current branch for the tip calculator to main. In case you're wondering, this is probably the first time I'm using Claude Code to do this for a project. That's why it's asking me all these questions. So going forward, it shouldn't ask these questions. I wonder if Claude Code has a YOLO mode like Cursor does. I need to figure that out. Okay, let's check that that's happy. So let's go WP content plugins tip calculator, get status. Okay. I don't know if it was quicker than what I would have done it. But it worked. So the other thing I want to do, yeah, that should all be fine. Okay, build package, readme source, tip calculator. Okay, I'm happy with that. Commit and push all. Wait. Add, commit, and push all the code in the tip calculator plugin to the GitHub repo. Let's see if it just works. So what I would be doing now in the command would be git add, boom, and then it would be git commit -m or -a, and then I would be typing in the message, the blah blah blah. Then I'd git push origin master, boom. I'd be done by now. So this isn't faster. And I've still got to tell it to add things and do things. And I would have been done by now if I could have done this on the command line. So this is definitely not faster. Maybe the more I do it, the quicker it'll be. But it's definitely not faster than what I could do myself. So in this instance, I would rather just run this myself. I think in future I will. Yeah, that took forever. Really, it did. Okay, not going to use Cursor for that anymore. I mean, Claude for that anymore. What I do want to do though is I want to now create a branch. So I'll say get checkout -p, and I'm going to call it. Let's call it YOLO, because this is the. I'm just going to give it the GitHub repository and just see what it does. Okay, so now I'm on the YOLO repository. So now let's give it the original GitHub repository. And let's see what it handles. Fetch the code from this GitHub repository. Let's give it some more content. So let's say rule-of.html is the HTML file. HTML is the HTML file. Just check something here. Rule-of.js is the JS file. Let's say fetch the code for a tip calculator component from this GitHub repository, rule.js, and rule.css. Only files needed. And let's say convert this tip calculator into the tip. Convert this. Wait, use this code. Use this code to. I'm trying to think of the right way to do this. Update the tip calculator block plugin. No, that doesn't sound right. So update the tip calculator block plugin to use this code instead of the scaffolded code. Let's see what happens. I wonder if I need to give it one of those you are a WordPress block developer. Yeah, maybe I should. You are a WordPress block plugin developer converting a static HTML, JavaScript, and CSS compose into a block. Okay, I think that gives it enough context. Let's see what happens. Okay, yes, we don't mind fetching the content. Why is that not working? It's doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so this might be what Kev was talking about struggling to get the content. Probably would have been easier if I checked out the code locally. That might have made it easier. One of the downsides of AI coding is you spend a lot of time staring at the screen. Okay, it looks like it's finding those things fine. Now it's doing a web search, which is interesting. I think I've overloaded the context window. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes until the hour and then see how far it gets. And then I'm going to switch to how I might do this if I was a human. That was a weird statement to make. Okay, it's still doing lots of fetching and thinking, and I wonder what it's actually doing. We're on 140. Okay, yes, you can go ahead and fetch those things. All right. You're not wrong. And that's kind of the thing about this AI stuff, is it's great at like scaffolding code based off nothing and just a prompt. So essentially replacing Stack Overflow searches. So when you're struggling with a problem, it's good at giving you like a first draft version of some code that you can then tweak and fix. But when it comes to stuff like this, my experience has been that it's better to try it yourself and sort of do as much as you can yourself and then use the AI to maybe fix some bugs or whatever. I wonder if using that git ingest would have made life easier. I don't know. Okay, now it says it's done fetching those files. So let's see what it's doing next. Okay, now it's gonna, okay, so it looks like it's analyzed the code structure as well. Okay, so that's, I mean, that's cool, the fact that it did all of that. So now it's gonna update some configurations and things. So now we should actually start seeing some code changes happen. I'm gonna do that. I'm going to just let it do its thing, and then I'll have a look at the code. So it's the block.json. Yeah, that's totally fine. I like this. I like the fact that it shows you these kind of changes. It's going. It's interesting. I find with Junie, the JetBrains AI agent, and with Claude Code as well, it seems to be slower. But what I like about that is I can actually see what it's doing. And therefore pick up possible issues maybe earlier on. Excuse me. So seems to take longer, but I feel more comfortable with it. Let's see what it, okay, this is now, it's getting a bit, see now it's just taking, yeah, it's doing what I would expect it to do. Which is fine. Okay, it's got the save, it's done the edit. It's done the edit first, now it's busy with the save. I'm expecting it to duplicate the code in the save. That we might want to turn into a component, but that's fine, we can do that later. This is essentially doing what I would do manually. No jokes. Like, I would first get all the files, I would have them maybe in a repo somewhere, or I would just copy them somewhere. Then I would update the block.json with whatever I need to do. Then I would update the edits with the HTML. Then I would do the save. Then I would do the view.js. So it's following the steps that I would follow, which is not a terrible thing. I don't think I would do the CSS styles last. I would do the CSS styles first and then the view.js for the front-end functionality. But I mean, you know, whatever. It's essentially following the same process. So if you want to know how I would do it, it's those steps. It's these steps over here. Fetching the code. Let me just copy. And I'll paste this into the chat if anybody's interested. But these are essentially the steps that I would follow. If I was building it from scratch, maybe a different story, but if I was converting someone's existing code, and I didn't want to have to try and work with existing components, this is essentially what I would do. Now, this is the cool thing about using an AI agent, is while I'm busy typing this message to you in the chat, this thing's just doing its thing. It looks horrible. Anyway. So this to me is the power of the AI stuff, is when you know what it's doing, you can tell it what, or you know what you need it to do. You can give it specific instructions. Like, probably I wouldn't have done what I just did now. I probably wouldn't have gone get everything and do it once off. I probably would have done it bit by bit by bit. So I would have gotten hold of the code on my local machine, and I would have opened up that repository and had that code available, maybe in VS Code somewhere. And then I would have started by just getting the edit and the save working, just the basic structure, without any CSS, without any JavaScript, just getting it to look good in the editor. Well, not look good, but look functional in the editor. And so I would have asked the AI to do that first. Just focus on the HTML and turning that into JSX, and so on and so forth. Then I would have said, okay, fine, now I need to implement the styling. So I would have pulled the style sheets in, and I would have made sure that all works. And I've made sure it looks good in the editor, it looks good on the front end. Then I would have pulled the JavaScript in. And oh, I hit the wrong thing. Damn it. Run the commit as suggested. I made a mistake. Then I would have pulled the JavaScript in, and I would have put it in the right place, and I would have loaded it and made sure that worked. So I would have just done it more granularly, step by step by step. But it's essentially doing the same thing I would do. So the thinking, quote unquote, the planning, the structure is good. I'm interested to see what we end up with, whether we end up with a working block or not. So that's going to be interesting. So we've been sitting here now. I wonder if there's a way to check. Let's go to where am I? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm looking for my studio directory. That's what I'm doing. Let's just go here. Another content. Plugins. Okay, so the tip calculator was created at 14:43. So it took roughly 20 minutes for us to get to this point where it gets all the code, sets everything up, So now we see if we have a working block plugin. I'm not going to have a look at any code yet. I want to see what it looks like. I am super curious to know whether it did anything useful. whether it's just a terrible nightmare, whether it breaks when I activate it. I'm super keen to find out. Okay, so let's activate the plugin. Okay, it activated fine, no errors, so that's good. Let's go and create a new post. Okay, this is Grammarly, go away. So let's see if we have a tip calculator. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And it says at the bottom, this is a preview. So let's save the draft. And let's view it on the front end. Okay. So let's say the bill was $100 and it was a 10% tip. And the number of people is 5. The total seems wrong. I can't remember if the total was right on here. Let's have a look. So we said, let's go back to, so 110%, let's say 5 people. 2, so that, I mean, it's working. It's working like the original code was working. It doesn't look, how close is it? Let's take this one out. And let's take this one over here. I mean, it's pretty close. It doesn't look like it's using the same font. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's using the same font. I don't know if that's a bug. Let's see. Let's see if there are any console errors. There don't seem to be any console errors. So it's not using the same font by the looks of it. But the basic structure is working. Now I wonder, let's just see here. What font is being used? Looks like it's space mono. Let's see what now. I wonder if the font is because of it being in WordPress. Because the font family is space mono. But it's not quite looking the same. So that's interesting. Yeah, the title's not there, agreed. And the text on the button is cut off. I'm not seeing that. The text looks okay to me. But otherwise, that's not bad for a first pass, I have to say. The icon is different as well. Curious to know why that is. After the 50%. Oh, that button. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Now, what's interesting is I don't know whether those changes are because it's inside of WordPress or not. So that's something that if you're doing this kind of conversion, that's something you might have to work on. Is how much of this is being affected by like WordPress styles. And that kind of thing. The other thing to remember as well is that this is being implemented inside of the theme, and the theme will have a specific width, which might affect things. I think this is probably wider. Let's just see here. Yeah, so it's probably being constrained by the WordPress theme. And that's probably what's affecting the fonts and possibly the button. But that's pretty close. Okay. So let's go and have a look at the code. That's all fine. Okay, so this is kind of what I expected. It's just rendering the HTML in the return. It's using wonder person icon. I wonder what that was in the. Oh, it was an SVG. I wonder if that's because, let's just see here. Hey, they're up. I wonder if this is a. So it doesn't look like it's. Oh, it hasn't brought over the. Okay, it hasn't brought over the images. I should have told it about the images. Didn't bring over the images. Okay, that's fine. What I do want to know is the font story. I'm going to see what that looks like. Just go here. Too many windows. Yeah, it's definitely the font. Space mono space. Alright. Let's look here. It's interesting. I wonder if the font renders differently inside WordPress. I wonder what's doing that. See, this is the thing, is inside of a WordPress theme you have other styles being applied. So you would have to tweak things slightly to be able to override certain things. So that I think is probably the quote-unquote difficult part of taking some standard HTML, JavaScript, and CSS and replicating it perfectly inside of a WordPress theme. Because depending on what theme I use, like if I go into, I wonder, let's just see here, if I go into my theme and I change the content width to, let's say 1,000. Save this. The image, the button is still a bit cut off, so it hasn't affected that. I wonder if the percentage styling is being applied. Doesn't look like it's applying that percentage styling. That could be another reason why. That could be another reason why that's not working. So what happens if I... Okay, so that could be a reason. I'm not saying it is the reason, but that could be a reason. There's some custom percentage styling that it hasn't applied. So it certainly hasn't done it perfectly, but it's done a pretty good job, if you ask me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit that to... Actually, I should have a look here. Just see what's in the style. So the other downside of all of this is if we have a look at, for example, the original HTML, there's a very specific structure. So there's the car calculator container, it has a form, etc., 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 right? If we have a look at, for example, the edit.js, it has kind of followed that. It looks like, let's see if this percentage styling exists. Yeah, so it hasn't copied over the percentage styling. So that's a problem. So it looks like AI has an issue with applying the styling, at least. The JavaScript seems to be fine, and it probably just copied it over and got it working that way. So yeah, interesting. Okay. I've got about 45 minutes left. I'm going to commit this to the branch, and then I'm going to go through the process that I'm probably not going to finish it in time, if I think about it, but I'll show you the process that I would have followed if I didn't use AI. All right. Sorry. Lunch is repeating on me. So let's see here, get status. Okay, we're on YOLO. Let's just have a look here. No, that's not the one. Okay, so we've got, it doesn't look like YOLO's been committed yet. So let's get push origin, get put push minus u origin YOLO. Okay. Then let's exit out of this and check out trunk. Oh, main. What? Oh, in the wrong place. Okay, and then let's create a new branch. Manual. Okay. So, manual. Let's see what I would do. So if it was me, I would do those steps just manually. So the first thing I would do is block.json, category widgets, I don't care. Calculator, that's fine. Description. Tip, no, go away. Why is it doing that? Tip, calculator, converted from static HTML. The rest is all fine. Okay, then this is what I would do. I would take the original HTML. Now what I want to do here, I'm not too worried about the header logo, just because I want this in a block. So I would take everything from the calculator container. If you want the header logo, that's up to you, but you might just want to give it a different class because you're putting it inside of a block inside of a WordPress site. I just want to see, what is the logo? Give me a second here. Is this the logo? Let's just see. Yeah, okay, so that's the logo. So we can maybe do that. Maybe let's do that. Let's add the logo. Okay, so so let's take all of that. So we just need the div before the closing body, so all of that. And one of the cool things about PhpStorm is if you paste raw HTML, and we used to do this, I hope it still does it now, I haven't done this in a while, but if you paste raw HTML, it'll actually convert it into JSX for you. It hasn't done that. It used to do this. I think there's a JSX plugin that I need to install that I haven't installed, so let me just install that quickly. But I remember being able to do this back in the day. I think it was React, code completion, JSX. Yeah, I think this is the one. I don't know why I don't. I do have it installed. Okay, so why didn't that work? I used to be able to paste. And it would convert it into JSX for me. It doesn't seem to do that anymore, which is annoying. But anyway, let's see. If there's something I need to enable. Right. I think I need to tell this that it's a React project. Or something. It used to work. I don't know why it doesn't now. PhpStorm used to pick up that this was a React file. And it used to do all kinds of cool stuff for me. It doesn't seem to do that anymore, and I can't figure out why. No. I wonder if it's because I was working components. Now I'm just rambling to myself. How do I feel about Junie? I haven't used it enough to really have a solid opinion about it. I was saying earlier, one of the things that I like about Junie and Claude Code versus Cursor is they seem to take a little bit longer. I don't know if this is on purpose, but they seem to take a little bit longer, and so I get a feel for what they're doing. And I'm able to kind of quote unquote interact with them and see what they're doing and see what the code they're writing and see what steps they're following. And I just feel like I have more control over what's going on. It's not kind of just going off on its own thing and just doing random stuff. I'm finding all of these tools have varying degrees of efficiency. So I would say when Junie first came out, it wasn't quite there yet, and I was still using Cursor. Now I've switched over to Claude Code, and I feel like Claude Code is better than what Cursor was or is. So it's difficult for me to really say like how I feel about Junie. To be honest. I am annoyed. I want to get this working. JavaScript, TypeScript, JavaScript debugger. PhpStorm used to tell me, oh, I see this is a JavaScript file. Do you want to do something with it? And then I would say yes. And then it would just do stuff. It doesn't do that anymore, and it's annoying me. Let's see here. A little thing used to pop up and say, oh, I see this is a React file. Or this is a JSX file. Do you want to do something? Do you want to... And it was like... yeah, exactly that. It used to say that for JSX files, so it applied React stuff. It doesn't seem to do that anymore. And now I don't know what I... now I'm lost. It used to work. It used to work when I first started coding. It used to... Well, when I first started coding. When I first started creating blocks, it used to work in my JS files. I must... PhpStorm, let me see. PhpStorm state JSX files support. Maybe that'll do the trick. Switch the JavaScript language. I wonder if that's the problem. JavaScript. I wonder if that's the problem. See, because the problem is, this was all configured on my personal PhpStorm account. I'm now using a company one. So, I don't remember them being JSX files. It's possible, but the first ones that I created, which I think just plain JavaScript files. There's actually a way we can check. Don't laugh. Back in 2020, I built a I recorded a workshop on building blocks for WordPress. I think it's this one. This was like the start of my attempts at doing live streaming. You can still see the stupid thing over my face there. But let's just jump through this. So this was the first time I used create block, if I remember correctly. I'm going to turn the volume down because I don't want to hear my stupid voice from back then. Yeah, so back in 2018, 2020, when I first started, so I built my first blocks in 2020 during the pandemic. It was JS files. So that's when I learned. So I don't know if it was like that in 2018. I don't know what the story was, but in 2020 when I learned it, it was JS files, and I had React support for my JS files, for my React JS files in PhpStorm. As I said, the problem is that was my personal PhpStorm account. I've since switched to a work account, and I think I lost all of those settings. So, and I haven't done this in forever. So it's going to annoy me. Maybe it was the languages and frameworks JavaScript thing. Maybe if I set that, Some proposals in JSX. This is not helping. But it used to take HTML and automatically convert class names and all of that to attributes, or class to class name and all of that stuff, kind of stuff, HTML attributes and all that kind of stuff for me. It was one of my favorite things about PhpStorm, was that it did that. Let's see. Let's try the old Google. PhpStorm automatically convert HTML to JSX. Yeah, it's not currently doing that. See, this is pasting into JSX files. So that might be the problem. How can I PhpStorm add JSX support to JS file? I tried that. I tried creating a component. Maybe I need to calculator.jsx. What is it? Export defaults something. Calculator. I've forgotten how this all works. I haven't coded blocks in forever. I think if I built a block recently. Oh wait. I know where I did this. I did this in a tutorial somewhere. In a course somewhere. Develop first block, I think it was. See if it'll do this. Let's see if this will work. Nope. It used to do this all automatically. See, it has autocomplete. So frustrating. Or does this need to be probably that? It's probably got to be. I haven't coded this kind of stuff in forever. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that one. But essentially that would be my process. I would set up the, I might do another video on this once I figure out why this isn't working. But that would be my process. I would set up the HTML in the edit first. Then I would get the styling working. So I would bring over all the style sheets. Then once that's all working, then I would work on extracting the calculator code into a component. So I can use it in the edit and in the save. And then I wonder, in that video, I wonder if I closed it already. Yeah, it's gone. And then once I know that's working, then I would implement the front-end JavaScript. So I'm running out of time, and I need to go and research how to get this other thing working. What is interesting about that is the one thing that I forget about block development is if you're going to be using custom HTML, you do need to know the difference between, and I do talk about that somewhere, is reactor dependency and package JSON. That's interesting. That might be why it's not, because it might have been back in the day, and now it isn't. Let's go back to that. Yeah, you have a point there. Never thought about that. Let's go back to WordPress.tv. Find that video. I wonder if I show the package.json in this thing. First, the first time, and then it creates. Shut up. I don't like my own voice. Don't think I show the. I wonder if I have the GitHub repo somewhere. Block theme, block editor, custom components, block bindings. No. This one might be. That was 3 years ago, so that's not far enough ago. Block development workshop, maybe. Grunt, good grief. I don't know what that was. Oh, this is taking an existing block and adding block support to it, so maybe it's in a branch somewhere. Let's have a look. This was 5 years ago, so maybe. It was just WordPress scripts back then. This is around the time that I did the workshop. We're talking 5 years ago. Yeah, August 2020. That was around the time I did the workshop. So it was just WP scripts back then. Or WordPress scripts, should I say. I'm gonna have to go and do some digging. This is gonna turn into another tutorial video. I'm annoyed now. I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. I didn't check that PhpStorm still does what it used to do. Because I was just going to copy paste the HTML. That was the plan. Copy paste the HTML, show how PhpStorm converts it, show the difference between the two. But not actually sit and freaking, because that's what I did in the beginning, like sit and freaking rename every single class to class name and all that kind of nonsense. So Rulof, if you end up watching this, I'll try and do another tutorial video on this process. The lab says life of a dev. Yeah, we're never prepared for anything, are we? I blame my time off. I didn't have enough time to prepare for this. It was very last minute. So I'm going to try and see if I can figure this out, because it is annoying me that it's not there anymore. So I'm going to try and figure out why. And I will see if I can find some time on Monday to record an actual process, and I'll upload that on my YouTube channel. But I'm annoyed now, and I don't want to do this anymore. But hey, we coded a plugin with AI today, and it was pretty decent. So if you want to check it out, there it is. Check out the YOLO branch for the AI generated code, and we'll see from there. Oh, look at that! It even has Claude like as part of the commit. Yeah, it probably is some PhpStorm setting somewhere that I just need to enable, and I just don't feel like doing it now on a live stream for the next half an hour of my life. So I will figure it out at some other point in time. I might have my PhpStorm settings enabled on my personal account somewhere, so I'll see if I can export those or something somehow. But that'll just make the process easier. So anyway, I'm going to call it a day. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm sorry that it was boring. If it was boring, I hope that you had some fun with me. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Vilup, Kev, who's left already. I'm gonna call it here and go and do some other things, and feel like I've actually had some success for today. So have a great weekend, everybody. I won't see you next week for the stream because I'm away again, and I'll see you probably the week after. Bye.